Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
Subscribe and the chicken gets it. Oops, finger slipped. Can you sub anyway? Pretty please? Playing Counter-Strike 2 makes you primarily feel pain from getting headshotted by some sweat after whiffing a couple shots. However, secondarily, it makes you feel the same exact way you felt when you were playing Counter-Strike Go, except with better graphics, physics, and quality of life changes because Valve gave Counter-Strike 2 the Overwatch 2 treatment and essentially just re-released a game, except in this case, Valve wants to showcase their new Source 2 engine. If I need to tell you that Counter-Strike 2 is a competitive arena-style first-person shooter developed by Valve, I'd question how you're watching this video from the rock you must live under. The story of Counter-Strike 2 is as follows. Kill terrorists, defuse bomb, save hostages. The end. It's Counter-Strike. There is no story here. You can only play Counter-Strike 2 on PC and there are no plans for it to go on console. There's no Dread controller support. Instead you gotta download some third-party software and be a hacker man to play with a controller, which I don't understand why you'd even want to do because there's no aim assist, so you're just objectively at a disadvantage. But hey, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, here's the menu settings. Ayo, you! Looking at the computer screen with a zombified expression. I know you saw my subscribe message earlier. If you're not going to read this, you should take the time and subscribe. Pretty please? With the cherry on top? The graphics are basically just an upgraded version of Counter-Strike Go. All the models and particle effects have been upgraded. There's new physics things like liquid within the Molotov moving around. You can see your legs, and it's like Halo 2 all over again. Or as somebody who up until researching for this video recently had no idea about any of the other new things, all I heard about was the new smoke physics. Valve was so proud, like a new mom cradling their child. The smoke is volumetric now, so it won't clip through walls anymore. Bullets create slight tunnels through it, and frag grenades completely disperse it for a second to pop shots through. You don't need nothing too crazy to run the game. Just 8 gigs RAM and a DirectX 11 compatible graphics card with shader model 5.0 compatibility, and you're good to go. In Counter-Strike 2, there are 2 teams vying for dominance, either trying to complete an objective or preventing the other team from completing their objective. Just as the lions and hyenas hate each other in the wild and are in competition for land and resources, the terrorists and counter-terrorists have been fighting each other since the beginning of time. The terrorists will either take hostages and hold them for reasons that are never explained, or they will try to plant bombs at specific bomb sites, while the counter-terrorists' job is to counter the terrorists and prevent them from completing their objective. And each team will use their map knowledge, reaction time, accuracy, and game knowledge to try to beat the other team. May the best terrorist or counter-terrorist win. There's a bunch of different game modes and map options you can queue for. There's competitive, which is where all the sweaty, BO-ridden, Mountain Dew leaking from their pores, greasy head-ass players go to whip out their schlongs and determine whose is the longest. It's basic Counter-Strike gameplay, rescue hostages or defuse a bomb, but you gain or lose gamer points, otherwise known as ELO, at the end of every game to determine your skill level. Something to note is that in CS2, competitive mode requires one team to win 13 rounds instead of 16 rounds like in CSGO. I didn't unlock Premier, but it's basically competitive except everyone votes on a map. There's Wingman, which is a 2v2 mode for if you and your friend think you're hot shit and want to try to prove how steaming hot you really are. Either kill the other players, or if you're a terrorist, plant the bomb. There's Casual, which is where the casual shitters go to fill up their stinky diapers and walk around with it dragging along behind them. Again, it's generic Counter-Strike gameplay, rescue hostage, defuse bomb, but in a less competitive environment without losing or winning gamer points. There's Deathmatch, where you respawn when you die, which is just brain-melting chaos that has no rhyme or reason. There's Arms Race, which is literally just gun game with a different name. Kill guy, get a new gun, do it the most to win. There's private matching, and lastly, you can use the server browser to join custom games and workshop maps and showcase how trash you are at bunny hopping, for example. There's just PvP and bots, despite being a sequel and missing the opportunity to try to do another Counter-Strike campaign and show off what their precious new engine can do with some physics events during gameplay, like a helicopter crashing during a gunfight or something. What about the community? Are they normal and benevolent people, or are they demons in need of an exorcism? Allow me to sum it up with one short clip. Of course, this is a AAA game in modern gaming, so of course the game is going to be saturated with more cosmetics than bacon is with fat.
Jesus ain't right.
To recap, Counter-Strike 2 is basically Counter-Strike Go with a new coat of paint slapped on it, some quality of life tweaks, and new smoke mechanics. Not much has changed. The game just has been modernized and is basically here because Valve wanted to showcase the new Source 2 engine. It's a competitive, objective, and teamwork-based first-person shooter game with a sub-half-second time to kill in most cases, so if you suck, you're just going to be getting domed from nowhere 90% of the time unless you stick with it and learn the maps and get good. But when you play competitive and the game and your gamer points are on the line, there is that adrenaline rush associated with games like League of Legends or the now disgraced and pay-to-win Escape from Tarkov, when you know shit's about to get real and you're trying to claw your way to victory against people supposedly around your skill level. And I'm lumping your teammates in with who you're playing against, because if you play these kinds of hyper-competitive games, you know what I mean. I don't have to explain it. On our patented 0 to 1 scale, we rate this game a .70 out of 1 because it does what it's trying to do well, and the concept of Counter-Strike has withstood the test of time as it's a 24-year-old franchise with a lot of strategic depth when you get to the higher levels. I can't rate it higher though, because the series is basically the same as it was 20 years ago, except for the graphics and new guns. There's been basically no mechanics added, and we haven't gotten a good memorable campaign mode yet, and it would have been wild if Valve came out of left field with some crazy good story mode. And when will they let us ADS with every gun? Just iron sights with a slight zoom, less on an AUG, not talking about being able to get ACOGs and foregrips and razor scopes and all that other stuff. The custom games are still lit though. If you enjoyed this no bullshit review of Counter-Strike 2, please 360 no scope that subscribe button, plant your mouse pointer on that like button, and comment if you rush A or B first. Thank you, good night, and take the bottle wrapper off of your water bottle when you're with multiple people drinking the same kind of water so you know which one is yours. They might drink each other's water, but at least you'll be safe.